Good morning, everybody. We are here at the December meeting of the Enforcement Oversight Committee. Today's date is December 3rd, 2025. The time now is 9:05 a.m. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Stephanie, can you give us a roll call to verify attendance, please?
Yes. Annie,
Here.
Kathy,
Here.
and Lori.
Oh, I can't hear you, Lori. Lori is here also.
Here.
All right, attendance is verified. Staff in attendance today, we have myself, Chad Cook, Administrative Specialist Stephanie Kahn, and Investigator Dan Murphy. First order of business is to approve the Enforcement Oversight Committee meeting minutes from last month. That would be the November meeting of the EOC. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as written?
So moved. I'll second.
Annie with the motion and Kathy with the second. All right, let's do a quick roll call to verify adoption.
Yep. Annie,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
and Lori.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Perfect.
Then I will stop trying to dial in.
And let the record show that Lori voted yes by way of thumbs up. And the motion carries and the minutes are adopted. Dan has a case for us today. I'll pass the meeting over to him.
Yes. Hello. My case 242612. And this is an anonymous allegation against an appraiser alleging that he performed appraisal activity in the state of Oregon without obtaining a license. He's an out-of-state appraiser with the California Certified General. He appraised a service station over in Malino and didn't obtain a temporary non-resident license before he performed his activity. You can see from the PCR that the intended users were the attorneys, the clients that he was representing, and the intended use was to provide information for making in litigation or internal business decisions. And it was a narrative report. It was 96 pages. The work file was over 800 pages. And so in this particular case, because the allegation was that the appraiser performed appraisal activity without a license, I didn't spend a week looking at the 800 pages of, I looked at all the pages, but I didn't dissect them and carefully analyze them and investigate them like I do in a typical assignment. So it's very short. Move on to recommendations. If no one has any questions, you were all able to read the PCR. You all looked at, I know that the appraiser's written response came in late. It came in yesterday in the afternoon. I think, Chad, you forwarded them all a copy of that and they all got a chance to look at it. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions before we go on to the recommendation section?
I had a question about, were any of his prior assignments similar in scope of work to this one?
You know, I didn't investigate that thoroughly. I went in and I looked in our records and saw that he had, I don't know, 20 something, maybe 15 or 20 prior assignments in the state where he did get the TNR. And when I talked to the guy on the phone, he says, that he wasn't trying to break any rules, and it was his interpretation after looking at 674-100 that he didn't need to get a temporary non-resident license because he thought that because of the nature and what the intended use and the intended users were, that he didn't need to get that license. And so I didn't investigate thoroughly all the other TNRs, all the other assignments that he got, but I know that he was aware that he needed one, and he applied for and received them in all those prior cases, and it was only this one case, as far as I could tell.
Yeah, that was kind of where I was going with the question, was if any of them prior ones had a similar scope of work and he did get a TNR, then he did already know that he needed a TNR, and maybe he just forgot on this one. So
I don't think it was likely. I think in his response and after talking to him, he does say that he looked at 674 100, and after he looked at it, he recognized that he made the mistake. And so
Yeah,
that's really what it is. It's very straightforward. And 674, if you've ever, I'm sure that you all in your free time probably tune in and read the revised statutes and the administrative rules. And ORS 674 100 is lengthy and it's got a lot of information. But I think it's, when you look at number one, A and B, that pretty much sums it up. If you do appraisal activity here, regardless of what the type of value it was or for any of those things, you've got to get a license. And then if the other caveats apply that go on to in paragraph 2 apply to the case, then you could make an argument, stating your case if you were doing it for example, we had a case a few EOCs ago, and the appraiser was doing it for tax appeal purposes. That follows under 674 100 paragraph 2, which, talks about what the responsibility of the licensee is. And so 100 is pretty cut and dry. It's just, if you're here, you need to get a license to do whatever you're doing.
Put a different way, if you're developing and communicating an opinion of value about a property that's located in Oregon, regardless of where you're physically located, you need to have a credential. Yeah.
Right. And I'm aware of that. I just was really trying to establish whether it was really an oversight on his part or if he really didn't think he needed to have one. So that was really why my question was asked. So
I really
think that there's, I saw that too, Kathy, and I felt like it was, I read his response that Chad sent us last night. And it seems like he kind of misunderstood. It's like if I'm reading that right, he's like going, well, it was a going concern valuation, and the statute talks about real estate. So I was appraising going concern, so that means I didn't need to get a real estate license. But when you read his actual appraisal report, he does a straight up cost approach with the, he's valuing the real estate. He gives a definite, he gives an opinion of value of that excess land parcel and everything else. So I don't know. I feel like there was maybe some disconnect that he was thinking that because it was going concern, that it wasn't real estate.
And that would be the type of value.
There was a real estate opinion of value in that report, whether or not that was actually what the statute actually says.
Right.
He does give an opinion of value. So that's kind of how I saw it. But maybe it was a misunderstanding. I don't know.
I don't know either. I know that he was adamant that he was not intentionally breaking any rule, and that he looked at 674 before he did it, and then after the allegation came and he was notified that there was an allegation, he looked at it again and recognized that he maybe misinterpreted it.
I think it's like in USPAP where they talk about appraisal reviews, and sometimes in an appraisal review you have an opinion of value and sometimes you don't, right? And when you have an opinion of value, it triggers a bunch of other things for USPAP. And in this case, even though he was doing a going concern appraisal, there was an opinion of value of real estate within it, at the very least. So, yeah, anyway.
that was the only question I had. So,
okay. Anyone else, Lori?
Well, I have some thoughts on it, and as I understand it, our reason for being here today is to determine whether or not he violated any of the Oregon rules, and it would appear that he did. So, that answer is there. But going back to intent, it can be very confusing, and some states are mandatory licensure, others are not. If I remember correctly, California may not be mandatory licensure except in the event of a federally related transaction. So, this guy has a long career doing highly complex appraisals for litigation purposes, and to have a mark on his record
is going to severely damage his reputation in this regard. So, like I say, I know what my vote has to be here, but I sure wish that I could say, yeah, I have to vote yes here, but can we just issue him a letter of counsel or something like that? Because I truly don't think that it was intentional on his part, whether or not he just had a brain cloud or whatever, because he'd obviously gotten, temporary licenses in the past. I know it's just a tough one to me to, as he said, no harm was done, but we
Well,
could do a lot of harm here.
that is a debatable point. Outside of this case, there are some other things going on that they don't need to pertain to this record. But it is debatable whether or not there was harm caused by the lack of licensure and an appraisal used in an asset separation court case wherein one party had their appraisal entirely thrown out.
Okay.
So as far as the statement that no harm was done, I'm not going to say yes or no, but being that the court in question didn't allow it into the record, and that was the prima facie evidence of one party in a case.
And that was because he wasn't licensed when he performed
Correct.
the
Yeah.
appraisal.
So
Once again, it seems like this guy really learned his lesson, especially if that was the outcome.
I agree.
And,
I agree with you.
So I just would implore everybody to, just anyway. So like I say, so Chad, and maybe this is an inappropriate question for this meeting, but we can vote yes. I mean, obviously there was a violation here, but when it comes to any final order, we can still vote no if we think it's too severe, correct?
in terms of at the board meeting as a
Yeah.
board, that's correct. Yeah, this is just to determine whether or not you all think that a reasonable basis exists to believe that a violation occurred. As far as what happens after this meeting, there will be a back and forth between myself and the respondent appraiser to see if we can come to a settlement that is something that can be, acceptable to both the board as well as the appraiser.
So a letter of counsel is on the table, in other words, or could be.
It possibly could be. There is case history as it relates to people not getting licensure in the state where we have not offered letters of counsel.
What has been the outcome
fairly
on
recent case history within the last year and a half or so. Well, within the last 2 years, in any case.
What is
and
the
that
case
was
history?
that was an unintentional. I was unaware of the need for licensure. I'm so sorry, kind of a situation, and that played into the manner of settlement. But I would caution the board that if you're not going to enforce your licensing law, that could be problematic for everything else that comes after.
So Chad, what was the outcome of that one where you say there's history on that? What was the outcome of that one? Because I don't know that I was
settled with, and I'm not going to cite the case number and things like that because it's not, part of this case. But this prior case was settled with a civil penalty and one class. It was a USPAP class. No reprimand. No. And by the way, acting without a license in Oregon can be charged as a Class A misdemeanor. So that was not done in the last one. And that was part of the settlement.
And
So
I think he does, in his letter, he does say in the very first paragraph, with disciplinary action and or financial penalty. So the case, right, that case might apply here as well.
The one that I'm thinking of very much does apply here, and that appraiser, after the settlement, is still entirely eligible to receive temporary non-resident permits here in the prior case. So having a settlement with the board does not automatically disqualify someone from being eligible for either a temporary license or a permanent reciprocal license of that, in terms of licensure eligibility. There would be nothing theoretically that would, quote, affect the individual's ability to practice, right? And that's what most of the states care about.
But the civil penalty and the class would be, quote, on his record, quote unquote.
As a disciplinary action, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that's what the appraisal subcommittee would consider a severe disciplinary action.
No, but the general public does, particularly in anyway, I think we know what we have to do here. We have to vote on whether or not there was a violation.
This is just establishing facts, yeah.
Okay.
Tough one, huh?
Also very understandable given the nature of, some of the complexity of some of the assignments that appraisers deal with. They don't all fit into a nice little box. It is understandable.
Can Rocky vote for me on this one?
I love Rocky. I love Rocky so much.
Rocky loves Kathy.
Well, I will say that I read through part of this individual's appraisal report, and I was impressed with the strength of his analysis. His market analysis was extremely well done. I felt like he had demonstrated competency of the area. His cost approach was terrific. Textbook cost approach. The rest of it is going concern, which is a little outside my range, but I thought the quality of work that he did was actually quite good, and I just wanted to say that.
Thanks, Annie.
Yeah.
It was a very thorough report. Okay.
So I'm working from 2 computers here. For whatever reason, Teams is not working on my personal computer, so I'm on my work computer. Could somebody else make a motion? Because I don't have the case number right here. I'd have to go over here to do that.
Do we need a motion on each individual one?
And we go to recommendations now, and then I'll read off the.
Getting completely ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did we cite the case number yet, Dan?
Yes.
We did? Okay.
We did?
Okay.
242612. I'll cite it again. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Recommendations. Ready to proceed? OAR 161-006-01701.
Lori,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
OAR 161-050-00002.
Lori,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
ORS 674-100-1A and B. Do we break those out? You want to break them out, or do you just combine them as 1A and B? Chad?
That's probably fine the way that you cited it.
Okay.
674, you're talking about 100 paragraph
1
1A and B?
674, 100, 1A and B.
Yeah.
Lori,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Okay. ORS 674-140-2.
Lori,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Okay. And last, 674, ORS 674-140-11.
Lori,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
and Annie.
Yes.
Okay. My thanks to the EOC members. That's all I have for you today. I've got 2 more cases. I'm rolling into one that I'm working on now for the next EOC, whenever that may be.
Well done, Dan.
Thank you.
And actually, that's not the worst segue into talking about our next potential meeting. January could be a bit of a challenge for us. I don't know what everybody's schedules look like. Oh, so the first Wednesday in January is actually the 7th, which
I'm good
is
with that date.
a good week past all the holiday stuff. Okay.
Yeah,
Our
I'm
board
all-
meeting isn't until.
When is the board meeting?
The 20th.
Tuesday,
January
the 20th?
20th?
I believe it's January 20th. I can look on our calendar here real quick, but yes, I believe we'd scheduled that for Tuesdays. It would be the third Tuesday of the quarter, the third Tuesday of the last month, or the first month after the end of the quarter, essentially. So this quarter will end December 31st, and then the board meeting is essentially 3 weeks later on that Tuesday.
So that would be the 20th.
Yeah. And I'll verify that and shoot a message out to all of you if I'm incorrect. But I believe when we scheduled that the board meetings back in October, that it was Tuesdays that you all voted for.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
an email from Pete Fontana because he was making his airline reservations. So
Mhm.
he'll be there at our next meeting. I don't know about Scott or John, but Pete.
So is that going to be on the 20th? Because I was under the impression that they're going to be at a different state in January, right on around our board meeting.
He didn't indicate to me that there was a conflict, so
Oh, okay.
he was making his reservations.
Perfect.
We can check.
Okay.
We can do that offline. Do you know how to stop recording this thing?
This is the learning curve with Teams Room. No, it's set to auto record on this meeting. So yeah, I'll have to boot everybody from the meeting room to end the recording.
Okay. I got to
Live and learn. I will get it right next time.
As far as the next EOC meeting being on January 7th, I'm looking at our team calendar, and Stephanie, you've got an appointment at 9:30 on that day. It's on the.
I can reschedule.
Okay. Just wanted to point that out so you knew. Okay.
Well, if there's any other business to discuss, we can do that, or we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
Dan, I do need to talk to you.
You need
can I
to
give
talk
you
to
a call
me?
after yeah. Can I
Okay.
call you after the meeting?
Certainly.
Great.
I'll be here.
Well,
Okay.
I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All right. Voice vote for adoption.
Lori,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
and Kathy.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. The time now is 9:28 a.m. and the meeting is officially adjourned. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate the time today.
Thank you. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye, everybody.